Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with Uncanny X-Men 105. Or at this time, which was the print date on the book was June 1977, this was just called X-Men. It didn't really become, I think, Uncanny X-Men until 142, which was the latter half of Days of Future Past. But because they did the volume 2 of X-Men, I always make sure to say Uncanny. Now, 105. I did not know that there was a lot of historical, not like a whole lot, like, say X-Men 101 with Jean becoming the Phoenix, etc. so forth, but there are some significant nuggets in this issue. Now, I was reading, and Firelord is the main, him and Eric the Red are the main antagonists of this book. But from what I understand initially, it was supposed to be the Silver Surfer or Thor. Now, there's reasons that it, people have said. I don't know how 100% true it is. Go check it out for yourself. I really don't want to get into it. I just want to talk about how cool this book was. So before we do that, the credits are Chris Claremont writing. Dave Cockrum, I believe, was doing the art. Bob Layton was doing the inks. Tom Ors, or I'm thinking it's Orzanowski, of course, letter. And then Andy Yankus. I'm not sure what he did. Let me double check here. Andy Yankus did the coloring. Okay. See, I hate how they did the old school credits. It's hard. I think Archie Goodwin was the editor. So this book opens up, and Eric the Red here is saying that he's seeking help. He doesn't mean the harm to the X-Men, but Eric the Red has been a pain in the X-Men's side for a few issues now. And before, real quick, I love the artwork here, how the paneling just kind of boom, boom. And then all of a sudden we see this fiery face here. Wolverine get ready to tear apart Eric the Red, and then he's obliterated, and here comes Firelord. And the reading here, I love this. He goes, I am Galactus's former herald. He's whose power is unlike unto that of a raging sun. Oh, that's how you old school comic can get a reader invested. Minus the ads, of course. And so the X-Men do their best, but, Firelord has the cosmic power, or forget what they call it. But anyway, the X-Men get their butts handed to them. And then you come to find out that Firelord and Eric the Red are in cahoots. Now, why are they in cahoots? Why are Havoc and Polaris part of the team? That you're going to have to find either an original copy to read, my friends, or a reprint or a collected trade, because I don't want to give away the whole book. Now, while all this is happening on Earth, one thing I do want to explicitly state here is a couple issues back, I can't remember which issue now, but we're first introduced to the Shi'ar Empire. Xavier's having nightmares, thinks he's going insane because he's having these telepathic links with these aliens. And you come to find out it's with Lalandra, of course, his love. But here it says ship's log, imperial date, and there's the date. We have followed Princess Lalandra Neamaris across the face of the known and unknown universe. And now, when she is with sight of her goal, we have caught up with her. So at this point, Lalandra is a, what's that word called? A rebel fighter, I just have not had enough coffee today, folks. But anyway, she's a bad guy, according to the Shi'ar Empire. Her brother, who is insane, is in charge. But what I love, the reason I want to kind of build this up and why they're chasing Lalandra is, okay, there's the plot. But this is, and I was her proudest captain, which is why the Emperor, her brother, sent my ship to destroy her. And you see the status report, science officer. And then you come down. Now, the book, the print date on this was 1977. Take a look at the bridge. Take a look at the uniforms. Does that remind you of anything? How about, if you're not so sure, let me see if I can jog your memory by doing it better for the captain. Status report. Science officer. So yeah, this is definitely just full-on ripoff of the old Star Trek. And that's okay. I love that they made this look like the bridge of the Enterprise. I just read that. And then, of course, this guy, his name's not explicitly stated in this issue, so I went back and looked, and it's Captain Kirk. It's K-RK. So this guy is sort of the faux William Shatner, Captain Kirk. And that's all right. At least, they didn't really rip the other names, if I am not mistaken. And then, of course, here, Class M World Captain, sentient, humanoid. So, and then, of course, here, wait. It gets better, guys. She'll be in planetary atmosphere soon, Captain. The Prime Directive does not apply in this case, Mr. Solar. Maintain firing range. So it's some good reading, but you could tell Claremont was really enthralled with Star Trek, especially the teleporter. And just wait. I like that. This is the 70s. They even get meta. So we'll get into that here in a second. What happens, you come back to Earth, terra firma. And here you find out that Jean has taken an apartment with Misty, which I'm thinking this is Misty Knight. I'm not 100% sure on that. It does not say. I'm looking at the Marvel wiki, and I cannot find if it's Misty Knight or not. It just says, yeah, it's Misty Knight. There it is. Burp. So they found out that they kind of have a rapport together, so they said, well, why don't we get this apartment together? So she's having lunch with her parents, and of course her surrogate father as well, which is Professor Xavier. And then something happens. There's a beam, and Misty's like, Jean, it looks like that Star Trek transporter effect. That's crazy, Misty. And so, meta-ness aside, which I'm okay with it. I love cheese like that. It warms my heart. Because it's not like super, well, in a sense it is super blatant in your face, but I guess at this time it wasn't so oversaturated with pop culture references as modern comic books are now. But then, after that, you see Xavier, the color tones change. I love the shadows. No, it's impossible, and yet it's happening. And this time, everyone can see it. So this is the first time that Xavier sees Lilandra without her helmet. And also, this is the first issue where her name is dropped. She was kind of a mystery up to this point. And so that happens. We go back to the awesome fight with the Firelord, which kind of starts to spill over to Jean's apartment. And he's like, hear me, humans. I'm Firelord. I have come for Princess Lilandra and the man called Charles Xavier. Resist me at your peril. And I like how Misty has like that 70s, like Ms. Thing. Buster, if you think, get my folks to safety, Misty. I'll handle this. And then we get some awesome 70s Kirby crackle. As for you, Firelord, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Because I am Phoenix. So think about this. She became Phoenix in 101, so this is only a few issues later, which a few months at this point in comic history. And so Jean's still getting used to her power, but I love Cockrum and the art team here. They just make her look like this otherworldly being. Now, for another little, well, actually, before we get into that, let's just do here. Jean's trying to explain to Firelord that Xavier doesn't want to rule the world. He goes, you lie. He seeks to rule your world, with the X-Men leading the conquering horde. Pal, you flipped your flamed hair wig. Professor Xavier no more wants to rule the Earth more than I do. But if it's a fight you want, hotshot. So, of course, the fight spills into, I don't know if this is supposed to be Greenwich Village or wherever Jean and Misty have taken residence. But here, we see these two gentlemen. And he goes, anyway, Dave, he hits the ground with this incredible sound effect. And then all of a sudden you see, phoom. So while Firelord's falling, we see an onomatopoeia. Why this is important, we'll get into it in a minute. Just keep these two folks in mind. So we get past the ads. Oh my God. Here, Firelord has just landed. And this guy goes, and Dave, aren't you listening? Chris, do us all a favor. Shut up and run. So here, another little fun meta poke. This is supposed to be Chris Claremont. That's supposed to be Dave Cockrum. And they're talking about the scene that's actually happening in front of the panel. So that made me smile. I thought that was really funny. Which, let's kind of take a pause on the comic and kind of go on a little side anecdote that I brought up on our After Dark review of the Suicide Squad movie that we did this last Friday. And I'll leave a link somewhere in here so you guys can click it and check it out at your convenience. But after, the tragic loss of Stan Lee, people were talking about with the new MCU movies, like, well, who should do cameos? Should it be Rob Liefeld? Because I've heard that. Should it be Deadpool? And there's just all this speculation left and right. Now, I'm not opposed to either of them, but it shouldn't be like a continuing theme. What I feel like would be kind of neat is, in this, was it the second? Yeah, the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie where they kind of hinted that Stan Lee was a Watcher. It'd be kind of interesting to take creators, both artists and writers, that would like to make cameos and kind of make them the Watchers of, kind of like make them like Stan Lee was. I think that'd be kind of an interesting concept. And what do I mean by that? For example, in Endgame, they did Jim Starlin, who was the creator of Thanos. And then, as I was talking about, the reason I brought up the Suicide Squad review is at the beginning, when the brain bomb's being put in Savant, the Michael Rooker character, the doctor that's doing it, the person playing him, is John Ostrander. John Ostrander wrote all the Suicide Squad movies in the 80s. So that's what, what he wrote kind of inspired the movie. So it'd be awesome to see cameos like Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, which I guess not, since Jim Lee's the president of DC. But you get my idea. Fabian Nicieza. If they did an X-Men movie, it'd be really, or another New Mutants movie, it'd be really awesome to see, Chris Claremont and Bob McLeod, even Bill Sienkiewicz and Louise Simonson and Ann Nasanti make cameos. And that'd be more for the longtime collectors and readers. It'd just be really neat little idea. So anyway, Antidote aside, what you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Continuing on with the book, the action is just unrelenting. The other X-Men dive in and just look at this. This was back before digital coloring. This was all hand. Same thing with the covers, where a lot of times you'll see online where you'll see a cover clean. If you go back, I'm sure, and look at like the original print file of this was sketched. They had to make sure that all this fit correctly. And that's why I think I have such high regard for these older books, even though not all of them were bangers, so to speak for the young millennials. But I really do have respect for the old school, because this isn't done this way much anymore. Everything is done in Photoshop, etc., so forth. So seeing it like this, and just think of the time and effort. And then, of course, Chris Claremont, his mind was just, I don't know, the way he wrote the X-Men, because think about it, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created the X-Men, but it was getting ready to get canceled. The only reason there was a re-interest and reinvigoration of the X-Men was because of Len Wein and Dave Cockrum. If you go back on Amazon, I've said this a million times, but I'm going to reiterate it again. There's a documentary called Chris Claremont's X-Men. And sadly, we've lost Len Wein as well. But there was an old interview that they showed of him talking about how he wanted to stay on the X-Men, but he didn't know if he would have the time and the commitment to stay on it. So he said, who would like to take it? And Chris Claremont was just like a young intern at the time, and he said, me, I'll take it. And the rest is history. Chris Claremont stepped onto the book at issue 94. And think about it, in the movies, the animated series, everything was taken from the Claremont, Byrne, Cockrum, Romita, all those artists and writer of that time period. Even the New Mutants movie, which wasn't all that great, they still took Claremont's Demon Bear arc and then applied Bill Sienkiewicz's kind of surrealism into the movie. So it'd just be neat to see something like that. Anyway, some other really important things about this issue. Sorry, guys, I had a lot of information there that I kind of wanted to talk about with this book. This is the issue where Jean's parents actually find out that she's a superhero. From what I understand, up to this time, her parents only thought that this was a special school for super smart people. Xavier's School for Higher Learning or Gifted Youngsters. Well, they didn't know that she was a mutant. Like, who are these costume people? What's the meaning? Mom, Dad, later. There's no time to explain. So in this issue, this is the first time where she's depicted to use her Phoenix Force powers, and how she talks about how they're easy and how she wants to really hurt Firelord, but she knows who she is, so she reels it in. Lalandra's name's finally dropped, so we know what's going on with the Shi'ar Empire. Then you see a lot of, as I just said, the Star Trek and the Star Wars influences. And then I just absolutely loved seeing Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum put themselves in the book. I thought that was absolutely awesome. And then seeing Misty Knight with that huge 70s afro, just hilarious. It kind of reminds me of what they did with, I cannot remember her real name. Not her actress's name, but the alter ego. But her name was Pulsar, I think, who became the Captain Marvel after Carol Danvers there on the Avengers for a while. How when she was in the 70s version with the Scarlet Witch and she had that huge afro, that reminded me of Misty Knight. So anyway, guys, Uncanny X-Men 105. If you think about it, them fighting Firelord, okay, whatever. And then the whole reason for it is an interesting take with Eric the Red, and it ties into the longer story of the Shi'ar Empire arc that we get into with the M'Krau and Crystal and all that stuff. Just a lot of very good Marvel history right here, folks. Highly, highly recommend it. So if you've enjoyed this, if you can find an original copy, I would say get it now. If not, try to find a reprint or a collected trade, because this is a story that you don't want to miss. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Phoenix bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.